Welcome guys to today's video. Today we will look at the number one mistake we see ecom brands do when it comes to running ads. And I'm pretty sure you do that as well, or at least you have done it before in the past, because it's something that affects everybody to a certain degree. And it might not be what you expect because it has nothing to do with your creative production, your back end, the way you structure your feeds, how many ads you produce, your ad account structure in general. Doesn't matter if you're on Meta or on Google. It's something that affects everyone to a certain degree, especially beginners. And it's also something that has nothing to do, again, with secret hack, secret technique. It's purely a mindset. And before you skip the video now, you'll be like, oh, I have seen enough of these mindset videos. I need like the real secret hacks. Just stick with me for a little bit longer because, yeah, I had that belief about these mindset videos as well. Give me the hacks, give me the secret sauce that produces instant results for me, right? Just stick with me a little bit longer and you will see why this makes sense. And you will probably recognize that you do the mistake as well. And the issue I'm talking about, and we will dive into it, right? I will show you what the mistake looks like, why it happens, and the easy fix you can do to prevent it. The mistake I'm talking about, because I kept you in suspense long enough, the mistake I'm talking about is emotional decision making or emotional reaction to what's going on with your ads, your business in general, right? And how the mistake usually looks like is the following. And you probably have done it before. Pausing ads after 24 to 48 hours already, right? Or when you're still in the learning phase, messing with the ads in the learning phase in general, where you like just launched it and 1-2 days later, you're already like, oh, expected more of it, right? And then you pause it already. But just rebuilding campaigns, ad account structure all the time in a way too short time frame without really like having a legit reason for it, right? Even like switching agencies too often, all the time. If you have your 4th, 5th media buyer already, well, maybe it's not just the media buyer, right? So you have to ask yourself, like, why am I switching in the first place? Like, is there a rational reason behind it? These are just like some of the things, right? Can be also like fixing things after just like 1-2 days of testing them, or changing things without having like, again, a real reason to change something, right? Like you tweak this, you tweak that because it makes you feel good. You're like optimizing something, but you don't have like a rational decision-making basis behind it, right? Everybody's doing that. I see it regardless of the skill level, even if it's a beginner, more advanced, ecom guys, they all do it to a certain degree. And the real pros that we work with that have like 7-8 figure ecom revenue in, yeah, even within like 1 month sometimes already, like they don't have that. They approach it very differently. So they don't base the decision making when it comes to the ad account, when it comes to the business in general, they don't base it on emotions, right? And it's sometimes easier to say than done. So yeah, this is how the mistake looks like. And why does it happen? That's the question, right? It's pretty simple. It's human nature. Like nobody likes to lose money, right? That's where it mostly comes from. You have emotional reactions to negative days mostly, right? When something doesn't go the right way, or at least it looks like it doesn't go the right way. When you just launch new ads and after 2-3 days, they are not really where you want them to be, right? And I have it the same for me. Like we have a low ticket funnel running right now and the ads are not quite there yet, right? And especially when you run ads for yourself and it's your own money, it's like, it doesn't really work the way I want it to be. But I don't have an emotional reaction to it because I know how it works, right? I look at it differently. For example, I look at it, okay, it doesn't work yet. It doesn't work yet. So what's the issue? Is it the offer? Is it the ads? If it's the ads, like what's the issue? Is the hook not good enough? Like are the ads not good enough? Because we launched like some very simple ads for the start, right? Just to gather some data. And then based on that, I look like, okay, is it maybe the learning phase? Do I need more data? If I have more data and it still doesn't work, like what's the issue, right? You want to look at it like a scientist. You want to like break it down in its little puzzle pieces and then see on which piece you have to work on. And I recommend you to do that always, like regardless if it's like ads or if you like fix any other issue in your business, you always want to look at it like that, right? And if you break it down, and it's like first principle thinking, right? And then you go to the root cause, like what's the actual issue? And then you fix that, you improve that. Not based on emotions, based on rational decision making, based on logic. You fix that, you see how it does. If you get improved results, great, you fixed it, right? If not, you have to dive deeper, but like never let emotions sway your decision-making process. So again, we have the fear of losing money, but it's also, you get a little dopamine kick from doing something, right? If something is not going the right way, like I said, of course you want to do something about it. All right, the ads are not working. Of course you want to improve something, but sometimes, like I said, there's no real rational basis behind it. You're just like, I need to do something. I need a new agency. I need new ads. I need to start a new campaign. And again, sometimes it's just purely based on emotions, and it's mostly based on emotional decision making, and it doesn't really have a valid reason behind it. And the reason behind this is it makes you feel good. It makes you feel good to do something, right? It doesn't matter what it is, but then you can go to sleep and be like, you know what? Okay, it's not working, but I did something about it, right? It's very hard to lean back and sometimes, like, first of all, analyze it rationally, but also to give it more time sometimes, right? To be patient. It's like the hardest thing to do. It's not working and you're just doing nothing, right? At least it looks like that. Especially if you're in the learning phase. It's sometimes the most difficult thing. Just lean back and give it more time, but it's also essential to do that, especially in the learning phase, because if you like try to skip that and like do something, you don't have any data yet. What do you base your decision making on in the first place? It's simply stupid. It doesn't make any sense at all. So these are some of the reasons why it happens, right? Again, fear of losing money, of course, feeling the need to do something about it. It gives a little dopamine kick. Then sometimes client pressure, right? If you run ads for someone else, or like founder pressure, the CEO tells you to do something, or like just internal pressure based on your emotions, right? If you run the ads yourself and you manage your own money, it's very, very tricky sometimes, especially if you do it at scale. And then the most common mistake is probably just like misreading short-term noise as truth. Like you think you have data, but you're just bullshitting yourself, right? There's like not enough data and you know it. Deep down, you know it, but you still try to do something about it. So patience, giving it some time, being able to actually read data, waiting for data, and then read the data and base your decision making based on that. That's the real difference that you see between a beginner and somebody that actually knows what they're doing, right? Somebody that actually does it at scale. Like they don't overreact. I've seen people that run ads with a loss for 1-2 months and they still win in the end because they don't overreact. They don't panic. They see, okay, like this is working, this is working, this is not working, this is not working. And you start to tweak the things that are not working and you double down on the things that are working, right? And then you will eventually get there. There is no way around it. Like if you remove the things that are not working and you double down on the things that are working, of course it will work. This is not a casino, you know, like it's pretty straightforward. Like, of course it will work. It's like going, if you go to the gym and you stick to your diet every single day, and again, you double down on the things that are working, right? You remove the things that are not working, like let's say overly processed food, sugar, like of course you will get in shape. Like there's no way around it. If not, you probably do something wrong, right? And then you can look at that. Like if you don't get in shape, maybe like your diet isn't as sharp as you thought it'd be. Maybe you don't train as hard as you should be, right? So that's data-driven decision making. So you do things, see what's working, you see what's not working, and then you tweak things. Just to have like this gym analogy, right? Anyway, so what can you do about it to fix your whole mess? Like what you need are simple rules, systems, and processes so you don't get swayed by your emotions, because emotions have no place in business. They have no place in your decision making. So what you can do, rule number one that I apply myself in every area of my business, but especially when it comes to running ads, is to zoom out and to look at the bigger picture before you touch anything, right? What it means is, if I have a bad day yesterday and the ads are not really profitable, I'm not like, oh, maybe you should like reduce my budget or like do something about it. Relax, take a breath, you know, like go touch some grass, go for a walk, breathe some air. All right, zoom out. How does it look on the bigger picture, right? If it's just one bad day, well, then it was just one bad day. Maybe it was the weather, like maybe it's just like it can be different things, can be politics influencing people on the day. Maybe maybe it is the weather. Maybe the weather was so nice yesterday that people didn't spend much time to do shopping. Maybe it was a holiday, so they were with the family, eating good food, drinking too much alcohol. Maybe it's one day, right? If you're crushing it every other day of the month and there was one bad day, of course I will not do anything about it. So zoom out, right? Even if it's like 2-3 days, I'm like, still, you want to give it more time. You want to look at the bigger picture. And then after some time, if it's like 3-4 days, something is not going in the right direction, then you have to be like, okay, something is off, right? And then you figure out, okay, what is off? What can we do about it? Why is it like that? So zoom out, relax, and then zoom in, right? And then you analyze. Like I said, you break it down. You have the different puzzle pieces. What can I do? Why do I need to do something about it? Pretty straightforward. You don't want to be like, what? Something is wrong. What? I will just do something right here, right now, right? You want to do it based on logic. Sweet. All right. Rule number 2, and I told you already, decide on a minimum data threshold. So we said, okay, one day is not going that well, obviously not nice, but we cannot make decisions based on one day, right? We cannot make decisions based on a couple of clicks or 200 euro in ad spend. That's nothing. So we need some data, especially if you're in a learning phase. That's probably the most important rule for you, because if you don't have data, you cannot make decisions yet. You don't even know what's wrong, right? You can just guess and try this, try that, but that's not how it works, because then you're back to the emotional decision making, which we do not want. So no big moves until you have enough data, until you have enough conversions, clicks, and then you can recognize patterns. Then you can have these different puzzle pieces and see, okay, what to remove, what to double down on, right? It's so simple in the end. I'm not even sure I have to make a video about it, but I see it all the time, every time. Rule number 3, and it also seems super straightforward, but it's a big one as well. If you start to make changes based on your rational decision making, one change at a time, right? So we identified what to do, change it, do it, and observe it again over a longer period of time, however long it takes you to get the necessary amount of data. Sometimes it's like 3 days, sometimes it takes 1 week, but you change one thing and then you observe the output, right? Because if I have to do something about my current situation and I change this, I change that, I change this, I change that, and I have 50 changes at the same time, which obviously is a bit of an over exaggeration, but you get my point. If I change 5-6 things at the same time, and that sometimes we see often, right? We see people change their ad account structure, they change their agency, they run a different type of ads, they change the whole thing. How will you be able to analyze what contributed to what, right? It's bullshit as well. It doesn't make any sense. So if you change 5 things at the same time and your ROAS changes, your result changes, in whatever direction it changes, you still didn't learn anything, right? So you don't know. It might have been this, it might have been that. And then you go back to emotions, right? Then you're guessing. So make one adjustment, the right adjustment ideally based on the data you have, right? So you got it at this point. You make one adjustment, you wait, and then you evaluate. Make one adjustment, you wait, and then you see, and then you continue to do so, right? Like a proper scientist, not like some random little child on the playground, which is like, oh, let's do this, let's try that. That makes no sense. All right, and to show you the importance of what we discussed here today based on some real life examples, let me tell you some stories. So, for example, I had one client last year, great client, great store. We absolutely crushed it in the UK market. And it was around mid-October, and we had a couple of days of consecutive scaling, right? So we honestly, like we doubled budgets almost every single day. So we were absolutely crushing it, plus 30% profit margin, everything was going well. And obviously after some time you start to hit the ceiling, right? Or you have a day where like performance is not, like it cannot be sunshine and rainbow every single day, right? So we were crushing it every single day, scaling budgets every single day. And there was one day, and I still remember, it was a Wednesday, it was 12 p.m. And I get a message from this client on WhatsApp, and he sends me, "Yo, Chris, today doesn't look good so far. What should we do about it? Should we like scale back or like set a higher target? Like what should we do?" And I'm like, dude, we were crushing it for like almost like 2 weeks straight with high profit margin. And he writes me a message on 12 p.m. in the middle of the week, middle of the day. And mind you, we spent around like 20-25% of the budget so far. And he's like, "What should we do?" Of course, performance is not going in the right direction, so we have to do something about it, right? So I told him basically what I told you in this video. Look, that doesn't make any sense. We were crushing it for a couple of days straight, and now middle of the day, after spending 25% of the budget, and yeah, performance wasn't great middle of the day after 25% of the budget. But like, what should I do about it now, right? Everything I do now would just be purely based on emotions. Like, what should I do? Pause the campaign, scale back, set a higher target, like based on what? Based on midday results of 25% spend. So I told him basically, look, like doesn't make any sense. We have to observe it over a longer time frame, like at least 3 to 4 days, right? Everything else would be purely emotional. So we're like, okay, let's wait. Let's check out end of the day at least. And I get why he was nervous, right? Because we scaled up so quickly that cash flow was becoming a bit of an issue, right? So like, can we even maintain that spend? So of course you become more nervous naturally. But anyway, I told him, look, no, we cannot do it like that. So we waited at least until end of the day. And the next morning I reached out to him again. I was like, "And how was yesterday?" And I knew how yesterday went, right? Because I checked Shopify backend results already. And that day that started as quite mediocre with average results turned out to be another record day for us. So after these midday results that we had, and they weren't really that great so far, it really started to skyrocket afterwards. And I think in the evening from like 9 p.m. to midnight, we got so many sales in that we had another record day. It was like almost like 10K in revenue, right? Which was huge for that client. Crazy roars, big revenue, really nice. That's just one of the many stories that I have, right? But this one, I always remember that one because it's the perfect example of like, all right, relax, lean back a little bit. Because imagine I did something, whatever I did, tweaking the target, scaling back the budget, it could have really disrupted the algorithm in that stage, right? Or at least prevent us from hitting that record day. There was absolutely no point or no rational basis in making any change there, and it paid off in the end. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell for today. I think you get the point. It's very simple to understand. It's just very hard to be disciplined with that, right? Very simple to learn, very difficult to master. It takes you 5 minutes to learn, a little bit longer to master it properly because you have to master your emotions for that. But to give you a quick cheat code, if you want a quick cheat code on how it works, make fewer decisions, but more high quality decisions. This is not just about running ads. Make fewer decisions and better quality decisions. And as a quick overview, as a quick recap, always look at the bigger time frame. Always make sure you have enough data, a minimum data threshold. One change at a time. All right, not too much. Track your changes, track the effects of it. Based on that, make your decisions. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Drop your comments, questions below if you want to learn more about this, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.